Welcome to the second episode of Night Out Talk. The channel is all about music, DJ, and nightlife. Thank you for the support from the last episode. Today we'll switch it up a little bit and see things from an owner, business partner, and curator's perspective. Introducing Richie Romero.
Thank you for having me, Johnny.
Thank you for being here. For the people who live under the rock and don't know who you are, how would you describe yourself?
I've been in hospitality for 32 years, so I've done everything from promoter to director to throwing events to owner, managing partner, curating events, experiences.
32 years.
Yep.
Sorry, how old are you?
48.
That means you started
16.
16-year-old.
I was even doing really before that, but counting,
Wow. How did it all start?
All started when I was 12, 13. I would do anything from house parties, teen parties, raves, park parties in the park. We started getting a little more creative and everything. My sister was 4 years older than me.
Yeah.
So our friends would get me like kegs of beer. We used to break into like McDonald's playgrounds in different areas and, do security, get kegs of beers, boom boxes. And yeah, we got a little too creative. Yeah.
House party, did you mean just in a house or house music party?
House parties, like we literally did in other people's houses, random different things, and we got creative as we got older. It went from like McDonald's to subway platforms to handball carts. We were doing raves before they were now if you have a corporate sponsor and you get permitting, it's a festival. You don't do it, it's a rave.
It's fun. And then you got into promoting.
Yeah, I got into promoting. I started in like Limelight, Tilt, Warsaw, USA. I started working for Steve Adelman and then Steve Lewis for a little bit back and forth. Then Peter Gation himself, who was the original nightclub Club King.
Gotcha. And more recently, you were part of One Oak Up and Down.
Yeah, I was first. I came in a couple years after Richie, Scott. Rodney Madra and Jeffrey Gyro opened it up, and a couple 2 or 3 years later, and I was a promo director, and I went from promo director to pretty much running the whole front of house and everything, and being a magic partner in Butter Group with Richie later.
Got it. So for people who are not familiar with nightlife, what does front of door mean?
Front of house. I look at front of house in terms of handling not just promoters but the door staff, the bottle host, everything. Like I don't even call a door person. I call it director of first impressions.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because that's your first impression of a nightclub. When you come to the front, it's your first impression is that person. So there's always that one person that's gonna really lead and control the door. So I call that the director of first impressions.
I see. Yeah, it's super important, but it's controversial sometimes with the door.
Very.
Right? How did you handle everything at One Oak? I heard it was super strict. Anything you can share?
Yeah, we were predominantly open format hip hop club, and we had a tight door for many years. Originally opened in 2007. That was before I was involved, and I came in 2009, 10. And we had a really strong run up to COVID, and it was a tough door. Door different nights we were open. We were open up pretty much 6-7 nights a week.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's really rare in your city, especially nowadays, right? Usually just weekend, weekdays usually. Mm-hmm. And how did the celebrity scene came in for One Oak?
Biggest thing is I'll give it to Richie Akiva. People that don't know him, he's probably one of the best promoters in the world in terms of bringing celebrities. Most of them, his friends will be in meetings, and you'll have everyone from Rihanna to The Weeknd just call him. And he definitely knows how to create that demand with celebrities. They're his friends; they're not celebrities to him. So that actually made it a lot easier.
And then also One Oak was famous for late night.
Yeah, and we ended up at One Oak. That was our saying and everything. It was, we started late, and everyone in nightlife and who was out after 2 ended up at us anyway. So.
Gotcha. Do you still have to close at 4, or you can extend the hours a little bit?
We stopped serving at 4, but we were open later.
Got it. So the policy is you cannot serve after 4, but you can still open?
You could still stay open, but you can't serve after 4 a.m.
Got it. And after One Oak, you were part of Nebula. That's how we met.
Yeah, we met at Nebula.
How did Nebula start?
Nebula was Yang, and he had a vision of his concept Nebula. And we met during COVID. It was the heart of COVID. It was literally the beginning of the shutdown. We met, I think, of like May of 2020. Him and Howard, who was one of the other partners. And we just hit it off. He had a great vision for it. And here we are, today. We ended up opening in 2021 in early fall. And, 3 years later, almost, still going strong. Yeah.
Very strong, yeah. What's the original vision of Nebula, I would say?
It was always to be like this immersive experience.
Yes.
Like a Vegas style, but even more immersive. That's why we have the moving ceiling and, the different lights, the sound, everything. We wanted to make it immersive, especially if it's just not just nightlife or events as well. Events are really important.
That's a big part of the business too, right? Private
Huge.
Events. I don't think people realize that Nebula is never not open. It's just not open to public, but there are always events going on, right?
I've always had a strategy since I was literally at 19 years old. I learned it. I tell this story actually a lot. I give another gentleman. I like giving people credit. You're only as good as the people around you. True. So when I was 19 years old, I was doing a place called China Club, which was the legendary Monday Night China Club. And there was a gentleman, Danny Freed, that owned it. And at this time, it moved. It used to be in Broadway, 74th and Broadway, and it moved to Times Square, 47th and 8th. Became the Cobra afterwards. And it was a Monday night. We had Derek Jeter there, Jessica Alba, all different celebrities, packed. The numbers we would do that place were just astronomical. And Danny grabbed me and he goes, "I want to talk to you. I want to teach you something." I go, "What?" I was an arrogant little fuck, He was like, I go, "What are you going to teach me, dude? The place is packed, I was feeling myself, this, that. You got to remember these times too. This is before, Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi didn't even exist. Google, there wasn't even an internet yet. And he brought me down to his office and he explained, he goes, "Listen, don't get me wrong. You did a great night. And the most important thing is there is celebrities here and there's different things. But I care about getting it in the press the next day. And by getting in the press, I'm going to get more corporate events." He goes, "Why do you think I have 3 different egresses? I could do 3 different corporate events at one time." So that's out of early age I learned, you get the hype out there, you get the press, and the press gets you events. So that's what it was always about. It was always a strategy of getting the events, using the demand. The access, someone like, let's say anyone reads right now and you see something, you hear about it, you want to go to that place. Right. You want that access. So,
that press becomes social media now.
Yeah. So that's, I always joke around, no one gets black fingers anymore. So no one's reading the newspapers, magazines anymore. So it's all about amplification. So I mean by amplification, if there's a good press story on it, let's say the New York Times, New York Post, whatever it is, it's amplifying it on the social channels and everything.
100%, yeah.
And that's what, and that drives to get events and, more of the corporate world.
Gotcha. So on the weekends, you create hype. During the weekdays, there are events.
Yep.
People don't realize that, there's so many events going on at Nebula.
They don't realize every single week we have multiple events.
Yeah. I heard there are weddings sometimes.
We have weddings. We have bar mitzvahs. We have engagement parties. Yeah. We go everything from Netflix, Google to bar mitzvahs. It's pretty crazy.
Got it. Do other clubs do that?
They do. I think, not to toot our own horn, but, we're really strong in it just because, like I said, it's been a strategy I've been doing majority of my life. And also, the venue itself with the immersive experience and everything between the moving screens and everything you could use. And people would spend fortune. Imagine just an NFT event. You don't have to spend all that money on production, Yeah.
Also, it's one of the biggest clubs in Manhattan, right?
It's one of the biggest. It's a little it's a little more, it looks bigger than it really is, but it's still bigger than the majority of venues. Most places now are more bar lounge, size.
Do you handle the music part of Nebula at all, or?
No, I get involved in terms of more of the support DJs and everything, but my partner Rob handles the music.
And Yang was part of it too, right?
Yeah, he deals with it. But Rob's I always joke around. I call him the DJ whisperer.
And for local supporting DJ, that's a huge audience of us. What are you looking for when you're looking for a supporting DJ?
Listen, it's always about, I always joke around too. I like being like an expediter of dreams. What I mean by that is that, you like to find people that have potential in different things. And It could be anything. It could be from being a DJ to being in fashion, everything. It could be in music, whatever it is, and just seeing them rise. It's all about, development and seeing people grow.
So
That's what I feel like the purpose of life is,
Gotcha. So you got to see the potential, and you like give him opportunity to grow.
I love doing it because, me myself, I don't really have other than finding talent, I don't really have a lot of talent myself. Don't know how to DJ. You don't want to hear me sing, So I like seeing talent in people and seeing them rise.
Is it more like an intuition that he or she is the one, or you see some certain traits?
I just always have a good eye of talent. I've always had that. I always joke around with sports. I don't know if you follow sports. I was a big Yankee fan growing up, and there was a guy, Gene Stick Michael, they called him. Everyone knows about George Steinbrenner, Cashman, all these bigger names, but Gene Stick Michael was the scout, and then he was general manager of the Yankees that found the Derek Jeter, the Bernie Williams, and everything, and he had that eye for talent. So I always liked to find talent. I always wanted to be like that scout. So it could be from a promoter, it could be a DJ, it could be literally any field. I just like seeing people grow and develop.
Gotcha. And the people you like, you give them more opportunities, and they do well, and stick with you, being loyal with you, right?
Yeah, my thing is it's growth. I don't try to control people or do anything. I just like seeing it's appreciation. It's an energy exchange both ways. And if I'm helping them grow, and it's it's making me feel good, like I have purpose as well, and it's helping my stuff grow that I want to do. We all have different. I'm a creator. That's how I look at it. I don't even look at it as a business. I look at it as, I've been doing it so long. It wasn't even a business really yet. It was about throwing events, throwing a party. So I want to be a creator. It was like making movies to me, and finding that talent, find that actor and seeing them develop, and I could make more and more movies, and they could, get more and more roles and grow themselves. It's great. That's why I want to do it. I want to create.
You enjoy creating rather than
I love it.
Gotcha.
It's everything why I do it.
And talking about that, you got a latest creation, Hearsay.
Yeah, it's I just want to. I love creating, man.
It's a very new concept. How would you describe the place? It's very different.
I would describe it.
There's no address.
For your generation and everything, it's a little different. Like I said, before internet, before anything, if you wanted to go out, let's say even right now, it's right now we're in a podcast studio, and if you wanted to hear music, you have Spotify, you have Pandora, you have all different access. Apple Music, there was none of this. If you wanted to hear a track other than the radio, and the radio didn't pick up, especially house music and other angles, you had to go to the club. The DJ broke in the music. And especially New York. New York was the Mecca. So you had to come to the nightclub, and the stage was bigger than the DJ. And that's where music was broken in. The same with fashion. You couldn't Google, hey, Coachella's coming up this week. Yeah, what should I wear for Coachella? No, you didn't have the internet, like I said. You went out, and if I saw, let's say, you wore kicks, I'm like, yo, Johnny, where do you get those kicks? You would tell me, hey, I got it off the store, let's say, off of West 4th or whatever, or, in Soho. And I had to remember where you got that from, because I couldn't even text you afterwards or even call you. I'd have to wait till you to get home. I could beep you and, tell me, call, be like.
So way more human interactions.
It was all about, there was word, I think the one thing missing from now to then was mingle, about mingling. So Hearsay, I wanted to make it more of a homage to the 90s, what it was. It was, You couldn't Google where venues were. Even there wasn't big marquee names, no pun intended on that. There was just literally nothing outside, just the velvet rope, and the velvet rope symbolized everything about it. And that's what this, what Hearsay is. There's no, there's no website, there's no Google. If you know, and it's all word of mouth, and that's what built nightlife originally. It was all about Hearsay, literally. So that's where
I've
it came
been there
from.
4 times. I still don't know the address. It opens on Monday and Wednesdays too, right?
Yeah, we're open 5 days a week, and then we open up now and then one-offs on other days.
Music's more like house or more.
Yeah, we're more like tech house, deep house in general. Just just a range of house.
And you work at tech support.
I help Rob and everything, so I handle the hospitality division and everything. And
yeah, last time I went there was Adam Bayer, a really big name, playing a Hearsay because he has a show with tech support.
Yep.
Gotcha. So you can leverage tech support. That's awesome. And for the business model, you know, if you're being inclusive, then it's tougher to make money, right? Would you
Yeah,
say that?
you know, it is like the project at first, like I said, it was more of like wanted to bring New York kind of back because it lost those elements. Everything became, you know, too promoter driven, too corporate, and we want to make it more exclusive. That's why we have it invite only, no address, you know, even hearsay. We put it upside down. We just like confusing it because, you know, we want it all to be about hearsay. That's even what our saying is. It's all hearsay. You know, if you'd be like, hey, is Adam Bayer DJing? And be like, it's hearsay. You don't know. Where is the venue? Oh, it's hearsay. It's just everything. It's taking a word every day that sometimes we forget, and it's just making it, you know, hearsay is an everyday word. It's, you know, it's more, it's not as popular as the word rumors, but it's pretty much hearsay is a rumor, you know. Is it happening? Is it not happening? It's gossip, you know? And that's what word of mouth is.
You mentioned promoters, and that word has different concepts over the time, right? Back in the days, in your days, promoter means a different thing than right now.
100%.
Yeah.
This is a touchy subject for me. Everyone hates it. Like, I hate the word promoter now. Like, it was different. Like I said, there wasn't all this. You didn't have access to people like you do now. So when I went out, you know, it'd be anywhere. I would go, if I was in Soho, I would literally chase down girls down the block and get their phone numbers. I had my memo. I would go to clubs and they would take away my memo pad and pen at certain venues. Wow. It was all about right then and there. You had to engage and get, you know, someone's number. And, you know, I went to all the model agencies. I would literally turn people, girls, guys in the boutiques in like Soho and different places. I would give them, you know, my flyers, my business cards, and just engage with them. So it's, you know, that was like real promoting. You actually went and hustled on it and promote as a promoter. Right. You know, we would bring anywhere from like, you know, I remember like Tunnel, Limelight, any of these venues. I was bringing 400-800 people myself.
Wait, 400?
400 to 800 myself. But that was with the help of others. And so now we call it ecosystems. We used to call it bubbles. So let's say you also are, you know, you work at Chanel. Right. So I would call someone, let's say in fashion. I would call someone in music. I would call someone in financial world. Someone, let's say even at the, you know, agencies, if it was elite, if it was, you know, even in schools, if it was anything, every ecosystem. Right. And they would all bring people for me and throw it under my, you know, under my list. And even then with the guest list itself, we actually had guest lists. Like it would be, you know, full name on it. We would cross you off and everything. And as later on, like I was doing this place, Supper Club, we actually eliminated the guest list and we made it more of a tally system as they use today. But the reason we did that because I would have a list like literally 100 pages. And we would have it typed up on a word processor literally and just add names. And we couldn't just, it would spend so much time writing the list, so we had a generic list, and we would just add on names.
400 or 500 people, that's a lot. And
minimum, usually.
What's the capacity of the club?
Back then, when during the middle 90s and everything, when Peter was the original club king. Okay. He owned Tunnel, Limelight, USA, and Palladium. On a Friday, Saturday night, you're talking about 12 to 15,000 people going out just those venues. Because you got to look at also how restaurants were. Restaurants now, I call them vibe dining. Restaurants before, if me and you went to an Italian place, it would be, you know, we're at the table, white tablecloth, maybe red and white tablecloth, whatever the tablecloth, pictures of Sinatra on the wall, whatever it be, and it would close by 10 o'clock, and we go straight to the club. There was no vibe. You know, I'll give it to Mark Packer, who created Tao, the first Tao, you know, Tao on 58th Street. He created that whole different experience of making it. The restaurant was like a nightclub. It was even built with the boots and everything. That was like late 90s, I believe, you know, or maybe early 2000. Yeah, I think it was there probably early 2000. Yeah, don't quote me on it. I'm bad with dates. What happens when you get older?
Mark's, I thought Jason.
They came in later of it. It was Mark Packer's original owner of Tao.
They took over and make it more.
They partnered in later on, yeah. But that made it that vibe because, you know, people stayed at the bar till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you didn't have to go out as late, you know. And it kind of changed what hospitality was, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Like, well, even now, I step in that restaurant, I'm still impressed. Yeah. And you know, downtown Tao, the other venues too. So 500, are they all girls or a mix?
Mainly, like that, you know, I hate to say it today, you got to watch everything you say. You know, my focus was like I had about, you know, anywhere from 3,000 to like 6,000 girls' phone numbers. And I would have, you know, I would have girls.
When was that? Do you have a phone at it? Like, is it?
No, we would literally I had an office I worked. We had, and then I also had girls in like FIT that would make phone calls nonstop with different lists to let them know updates of what we got going on. I even had my mother. We joked around. They used to have my mother with an alias. She was Sabrina. When we had let's say a new venue opening or something. I would have 7, 8 phone call girls, and my mom even making calls
To everyone.
Yeah, because I didn't really make I wanted to keep it that there was the mystique. I used to joke around, call it the hot girl syndrome, where you don't want to have too much direct access because it was different. Even earn a comp back then was difficult. You had to have a reason why you were getting a comp. There wasn't, comp bottles that you see sometimes today and everything. It wasn't about that.
Well,
It was all about having that access.
3,000 to 6,000 people on the list.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
98% women.
And the 2% men.
Very, very few. They weren't called. Men always just came. If you brought the women, the guys came. It was different.
True.
This was bottle service wasn't really a thing yet.
Oh, there's no.
It started coming in later on. Bottle service became prominent when the euro surpassed the dollar. And before we used to joke around, we used to call the Euro crowd would be like the Blazer Brigade, we used to call them. And they would come with their blazers and everything. And, getting into clubs, it was more about, that melting pot, the different, having style, and, having like a swag to you. And when the European euro became stronger than the dollar, and in Europe, nightclubs started getting bottle service. You had guys like Michael Alt, David Sonner, Tony Theodore, guys like that. They would open up a place. First it was Spy Bar, then Chaos, and they implemented more of that bottle service style. There's always a fight about it, who really started bottle service. I give it to them.
Around?
That was started getting late 96, around there, 97, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's like predominant part of nightlife right now, right?
Yeah, actually, it was even later. It might have been like 99. Actually, it was probably like 99. You always hear different things of who started bottle service. Like Mark Baker was a good friend. The Jeffrey Jar was a good friend. They said they did bottle service, and Michael Todd Room, which was in the back of Palladium. So there's always fights here and there, but I'll kind of give it to. I think it was there actually like 99, 98, 99, around there that Michael Alt and all them really started bottle service, in my opinion.
And before that, it's just like a room of bars and dance floor.
It was all, yeah, and like I said, it was, the DJ wasn't even on the floor. You didn't see the DJ. The DJ, like in Limelight, the DJ was up in the rafters. It was not about the DJ.
You cannot even see the DJ sometimes.
It was literally, everyone wanted to play the stage. New York was the Mecca. It was the stage. You got to realize there wasn't other markets like this. There wasn't, Vegas wasn't a thing yet.
Oh.
Miami was slowly, it was cool, but Miami was still not up on the thing. And secondary markets like, Nashville, Dallas, they didn't exist. No one came. And you got to realize there wasn't, like I said, the internet yet in the 90s. So it's like, people heard about New York through press. And then also you had MTV, like things like MTV that would talk about, New York nightlife. But it was all hearsay again. That's where that word always resonated with me, because that's what it was about. It was all hearsay. It was all word of mouth, because you didn't have an internet.
You really missed that scene. I want to bring it back.
The internet is literally, it just makes all hearsay now. Internet is hearsay. And this is like, pre-internet. So that's why the hearsay word really resonated with me,
And was music a big part of nightlife? No one cared about a DJ, but how about the music?
No, everyone loved the music. That's what it was about. It was about the music. It was about, that's why you had to go to the club and you heard new tracks and different things, but it wasn't,
not the person, but the music.
It was about the environment. It was the experience. Like, it's so funny because everyone talks about experiences now, but back then was the real experience.
Right.
We weren't on your phone. Like right now, my phone keeps buzzing over and over and over. Like there was nothing. You were in the moment. You were present. And it was all about the experience. You had the big dance floor. You were dancing. You had the DJs. You had different rooms even. So if you talk about Tunnel, Limelight, USA, any of these venues we had, there was different rooms. So if you want to hear the big room, let's say it was house music, and you did have DJs coming up like Junior Vasquez, Victor Calderon started coming up in the later 90s as well. And then you had side rooms where you had, hip hop, like in Limelight, which is now Yulan Kitchen, which I'm a partner in that as well. Like I went 3 360 on that. And you had a room like the shampoo room or the chapel. The chapel played hip hop. Shampoo room would have different kind of music, and every room had a different element. So I always joked around. It was like a school cafeteria where everyone could get together in like let's say the mess hall, but you could literally have these separate rooms with your different ecosystems.
How do they make money? How do the club make money? The guest list,
door cover, everyone paid.
Oh, even guest list, you have.
Oh, guest list was everyone paid.
Oh, so
you had
concept.
very few. That's why I said you had to earn your comp. Like if you would come, let's say you, Johnny, being with Chanel, you had you would bring me, let's say 20, 30 girls or guys, whatever it is. I would put them on list. They would all pay, and you would earn your comp.
Oh, I see. So the guest list now is free, but back in the days, the access.
It was all access. Like you would have to write comp.
I see.
Like you would let's say some of your guests came, John Smith, Lisa Smith. You cross them out, boom, boom. They paid. They got a reduced ticket. We used to call it reduced. So it was full pay. If you didn't know anyone and you got past the door, that was one thing. First, you got to get past the door. You got past the door, you paid full cover. Then, if you were on the guest list, you got reduced. You got a reduced payment, a reduced list. And then the last one was if you earned your comp, and you would be on the comp list. And we had very few comps. We were only allowed a few comps from each thing. So
and apparently the bar sales part, big part too. Okay.
Bar sales, door cover, and coat check too. Coat check was massive. I used to have a little scam. I used to have a little scam with the coat check. I won't lie. Okay. I used to take all my business cards and I would talk to the coat check girls. I made friends with them, and I would give them a stacks of my business card, and they would put it in everyone's jackets. Wow. Yeah, I was a little, while I was doing that, I was with my memo pad and pen, and the best place to always meet girls.
Bathroom?
Yep, right by the girls' bathroom. I would go check on. I would go on the dance floor. Back then you really had to you had to have social skills. You had to know how to dance. You had to know how to mingle. It's not as much today. Today you buy in your area. People stay on their island. They're isolated. They're more cliquish.
Status.
Yeah, I had a company I called later in 1999. I started called Click Entertainment, and people started getting involved more. The table service is more clicks.
And the bottle prices keep coming up.
Yeah.
Now it's super expensive. And do you think clubs should rethink about the prices if now the economy is not as strong?
Yeah, you have mixed factors in it. The problem is real estate rents are getting higher, right. And costs are getting higher, and it's it's scary. It's like it's harder to throw an experience now. You still got to pay the bills, and there's a lot of people like I love creating, and a purpose. What I'm given in life is that I give a lot of people livelihoods from the staff to even the people dropping off the linens to the liquor and everything. Like people are getting a livelihood from me, and that's what another reason I keep doing it, because I want to have purpose.
Yeah. Right now, what's your biggest purpose?
I want to keep creating, keep giving people livelihoods, and like I said, be like kind of an expediter of dreams. I love seeing talent rise.
I see. And also in nightclub, you always are part of a lot of restaurants.
Yeah,
Zazzy's Pizza and a lot of Sushi by Boo. Right?
Yeah, we have a company. I have a different company called Simple Venue, and we have a Sushi by Boo, Sushi Suite, which became the first restaurant in the world in an actual hotel room. We have Omakase, a vegan version. We have Trust Bay, which is our female chef-focused concept. Came into why it's called Trust Bay and not Sushi by Bay is because Omakase means trust us. And the joke I always make is women could do more than just make sushi, so we call it Trust Bay. And we have a kosher version called Fins and Scales.
I see. Oh, Sushi by Boo, one of my favorite spots. When did you start joining the team, or you started?
So originally it opened. It started in Gansevoort Market, actually with Michael Sininsky and David Budana. They opened it first, and the concept was just quick time omakase. And then I got involved, and it was about not just the timed experience, but do it in an unutilized space. And did that, and I kind of stepped away from it, and then after COVID, I got back involved.
And there are different themes for each location.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's the same. I look at like Tarantino doing omakase. Yeah. What I mean by that is, first we take unutilized space, and predominantly in a hotel. It could be an old concierge desk. It could be, the first one in the Sanctuary Hotel. It was underneath the hotel, and it was a room that you broke down cardboard boxes, and it went from that, and then it was about you didn't eventing, creating that experience, and then doing it with the music. So each one has a different theme. One is like a vibe, we call it Boo Vibes. So it's 90s hip hop. It could be disco sushi. It could be rock and roll, roaring 20s. So the first thing is it's an omakase experience in a speakeasy environment, and they're all music themed.
Yeah,
and design themes. So you saw it, like if you go to the one in like Nomad, it's the 90s vibe.
Yeah, Biggie is on the wall.
Yeah, Biggie's on the wall. The coasters are all different hip hop albums from the 90s, and the music is always 90s.
Got it. I want to go back to the promoter part of it because I'm interested. So back in the days, it was crazy amount of people and it's different concept. Right now, I saw that you trying to educate promoters to do their job better. And what would you talk about within those sessions?
Most of it was like, when you're in nightlife, it's life, right? Nightlife, and it's your life, but it's at night, but it's also in the day. And you're always networking. You're always promoting marketing. Even if you go to a clothing store, when you go to Chanel, it's like you talk to the salespeople there. You talk to different people. It's engaging, and it's telling people about your experience of the experiences you throw at night. And that's what's magical about it. And that's how I like I said earlier, I went to model agencies, I went to stores, you name it, I went to everything.
Human interaction.
My life was also, and my nightlife became my life, and engage with everyone. And that's what it's about. It was about creating these different ecosystems, and especially New York. What's magical about New York is the melting pot. It didn't matter about race, age, anything. It was all about coming together and mingling. There was all these ecosystems and everything just merging, and making that melting pot.
Why do you think there's no one doing what you did before?
I think, between social media and that, they just think it became such a business now, and it became so scalable that people look at it as a business instead of the original roots of what it was really about. It was that, if you worked 5 days a week, busting your ass 9 to 5, and you wanted to go out at night, it could have been on a weekday, or if you want to go out on the weekend, and you got to have fun, and you got to really vent, and then it was about having a good time. Right. Then it became, more and more business, and it kind of, you look at it now, like all these other markets, like Vegas, everything, you see these $100 million nightclubs. It's just, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say if I'm a DJ, but let's say if I'm be a good promoter nowadays, what would you say I should do? More human interactions or social media?
You got to do both on it, but I think it's all about relationships. Everything's about relationships,
And providing good people good experiences.
It's relationships, and it's, creating a demand for yourself and creating a demand for your product. That's what it's all about. I don't even call it promotions. You call it promoting, branding, experience, whatever. It's about creating demand, man. Everything's about demand. It's like people want access to something they can't have. It's basic economics of supply and demand. If you cut off a lot of the supply, there's demand. So if you have a tighter door, we'll use like hearsay. Like, you do a big box office movie like Nebula. It's the popcorn movie. It allows me to do more of my artist movie, like a hearsay, and it's a tighter door. And with a tighter door, it's less supply, right? And that creates more of a demand, especially when you don't know where it is
I see.
and how to get in. So everything's about demand.
How do you balance the being inclusive and exclusive? That's a tricky part, right?
Yeah, that's what's fun. That's why it's a different creation. I look at it as a different movie. Like doing something, like I said, something like Nebula, it's massive and immersive, and then something more exclusive like, Hearsay, or even like the Sushi by Booze. You're talking about 8-seat, 12-seat omakases. Even Sushi Suite, we have 4 seats.
Only 4?
No, 4, yeah. It's only 4 seats.
Oh, I know there's one at Nomad, right?
Yeah, we have it above. So we have Sushi by Boo, the 90s theme downstairs, and then on Suite 1001, we have the restaurant in a hotel suite, and it's only a 4-seat omakase.
Only 4. Now I want to try.
Yeah, it's amazing. It makes it more exclusive and higher demand. We book out a lot, and that's,
Yeah, so first you got to build a good product, and then you got to play around with it.
You have a good product, it creates a demand, and that's what people want, Most promoters, I feel bad for them because most of them, they're only as good as their venue. They're only good as their product. And, they have to work on a lot of them of being that master of ceremonies that people follow you. It doesn't matter if it's Chuck E. Cheese, because I'll use an example again when 1999 and we started Click, and it's funny because our logo, everything, the song Click by Jay-Z and everything, it's actually our logo. They literally,
Really?
and Jay-Z rapped, I always forget the song, everyone
West,
crazy.
right.
When he goes Club Cheetah. So we used to, our first party, we did Click Thursdays at Cheetah in 1999. And Jay-Z rapped about the song. We had a Click banner out there and everything. And, it was about creating a Click. We could do literally anything. We could do any room. It could be a last minute. I could be like, hey, Johnny, we're doing this pizzeria on the corner. And 300, 400 people would come in literally 2 hours notice because we were that Click. We created that demand. People wanted to be around us. They were like, hey, where's Alex? Where's Jace? Where's, like, all of us. We were a Click. We were friends that just wanted to throw parties and events, and people wanted that access to our, demand we created. But we didn't even look at even that as a bit. It was just a bunch of kids doing, parties, and it became,
People enjoy the experience. They want to come back.
Just think of it like you. Let's say now it's instead of parties, they're at tables, which is the sad part. It's like people create that experience at a table. They master a ceremony. So a grander scale, we did it on parties, and I hope a lot of these kids doing it, they create a demand for themselves, and they start wanting to do their own parties and their own events, and learn more the back end thing. Like me and Rob have one company called BCD. It's means behind closed doors, because no one knows really what's behind the curtain. They just look at the glamorous part of nightlife, but they don't really know what goes on of like creating and making these throwing these events. They don't know the hard work. It's not just, we don't wake up at freaking middle of the afternoon and do it. Like,
work.
I'm up every day, 8, 9 o'clock, the latest, where I'm on Zoom calls, I get on meetings, I'm on phones, and I go straight through, like I'm exhausted right now. Like times I don't sleep because, especially like tonight, it's Monday, I got to be out. And, I went from 8 a.m. today, and I'm going to probably go to like 2:33, I'm going to try to cut out a little early, and then the next day it starts all over again,
Sure. But you were never a big drinker.
No, I don't drink at all. Yeah,
I see. In nightlife, people struggle with that too, right? A lot of drinking and staying up late. The health always a problem, right?
Yeah, I had a lot of health issues in the past. I had like 26 years of bad health, so that was another proponent why I don't drink. But I never did a drug either. I could tell you a bunch of after school specials of weird stories of me not wanting to do drugs and around people with the peer pressure. Just never had a desire, Yeah. Like I said, I like creating events, and like Biggie said, you don't get high on your own supply. I liked always creating that demand, and I partaked before I was 21 in terms of drink. I was drinking when I was like 12 to like 20, and I after once I turned like 2021, I didn't really care anymore, And I never did a drug, other than smoked later on in my life, and even that was health reasons.
Yeah. Do you think like staying up late would cause some of the health problem?
100% stress, staying up late, the bad, the different hours. Yeah.
It's never. Nightlife is very different than like
you're dealing with so many different personalities. You got to realize, man, nightlife you're dealing with drinkers, drug addicts, narcissists, sociopaths, man. You're dealing with everything. Different things. There's just drama in all different things. You're playing like a guidance counselor for everyone. So it's a lot. And I always joke around with different things. You heard the saying ABC. So people used to say ABC, always be closing. It was always a reference, always be closing. Mine's opposite. I call it ABC is always be communicating. Yeah. A lot of people don't communicate, especially in different departments. You have an event department, you have a promotional department, you have marketing, management, ops, all these different groups. To make something work, like I said, behind the scenes, what's going on, there's so many different departments. Yeah. Everyone's got to communicate. Yeah. So if you're not communicating, especially in today's world where everything's like Zoom now and people aren't in offices, you're not communicating enough. Right. So I always say ABC, always be communicating.
Got it. When you talk about different groups in your venue, can we talk about Nebula? Let's say Mega Club of Nebula. What's the staffing structure? Like, who are the people involved from top to the bottom?
So how I always look at everything, I break everything down in like a 3-part system. So first thing I always do is before you open anything, you have to know what the story is. Look at it. It doesn't matter if it's a movie. It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant. It's a nightclub. What is the story? What's the name? What's the story? What's the brand? You have to know that before you actually get it out. What is the brand? What is your story? Then the second level thing is, who are the actors? So it goes to what you're pretty much saying. I'm going to answer that question by explaining it. Who are your partners? You know, who are the stars? Like, let's say, who's your general manager? Who's your, promotion director? Who's your waitress, your waitresses, all your different staff, your bottle service and everything. That's all your actors. Everyone's involved in that story. They're all helping you tell the story, and they're all taking a part in that story. Yes. So first it's the story, and then who are the actors that are partaking. And then the third one is how you target marketing. Who are you trying to reach? How you creating that demand? You do those 3 steps. Things magical, and that's why I love doing it.
Yeah. Curious about the second part, the actors, right? So usually there's a manager, assistant manager, and then apparently bartenders, cocktail waitresses, VIP host.
It's a mix of it, like front of house, back of house, like as I call it. So you have more of the back house, the general manager. I call him the general. Right. He's the general of Curtis. The ship. He's the general. For Nebula, it's Curtis, and he's handling, everything goes on. Anything that happens in the venue that night, he's responsible. He's the general. Yep. He's telling the troops what to do. So he's leading the bussers, like you said, the bottle service, the bus boys, everything, the bartenders, and then you have more the front of house thing where he has to keep but he's inside. So the outside. The VIP director, if you have like a Jonas, or in the front, if it's Will, if it's AR, whoever's doing the door, is director of first impressions. They handle in the front, and it's all about, again, what do we go back to?
Experiences?
No, ABC.
Always
be communicating. Yeah. Every single venue, especially Nebula, we have chats for the night. So everyone's communicating. Everyone has to be in constant communication because you want that experience to be perfect. So someone's walking up to the front, if it's a client, whoever it is, they greeted at the door by the director of first impressions. They bring him in to the host stand. The host greets them. They fill out their information. They announce which table they're going to, the chat. Everyone's ready from the service and everything. Come to the table. They greet them. They come with the menus and everything experience. So it's seamless because everyone is communicating. We're in the key word again, hospitality.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's different. That's the only bad thing in the 90s wasn't much about hospitality. It was all about, actually being rude to people, kind of,
Really?
Yeah, because there wasn't the table service. So it was all like, you could have an expression. I actually learned it from Mark Packer, which is funny. You could piss them off at the door, but you have to be good inside. So it's the same thing. You could be you could make it a process. Like even if me and you, we go to a Yankee game, we go to Madison Square Garden, could you just prance right in? Do you just walk back in? No. You walk right in? No? Right? You got to go through security. It's a process. Right. Every experience needs a process. But then once you're inside, you have to make sure you have the best damn hospitality you ever had. You don't want to piss them off at the table, like I said. Piss them off at the door. Don't piss them off at the table.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah. These are all from the decades of experiences from you, yeah. So what would you say what's next? What's coming next?
I don't know what's coming next, man. I just want something creative. Right now it's, in terms of like with Simple Venue, we have 24 venues open. We're opening
24 venues?
Yeah, so we're opening up 3 more by the end of this month.
Oh, do you mean Sushi by Boo?
Yeah, Sushi by Boo. We're opening Washington, D.C. We're opening in Montclair, New Jersey at the MC Hotel. We're opening in another one in Philly.
So how is it possible that you guys can open so many so fast?
It's, again, developing your actors, developing your team, helping them grow. The more they grow, the more they're teaching, and they're the only way you could expand.
What's like a process to open a new store like Sushi by Boo from beginning to end?
First it's the relationship. Again, everything's relationship. Get the relationship, find the location, scouting it, making sure it makes sense, and then
pick a place, decorations.
Yeah,
theme.
Coming up with the theme is, like I said, we always have to do what theme fits with the rest of the hotel, what talks to each other. Because you want everything to talk to each other, what tells the story. So if the story's more of a Prohibition vibe, we make it more 1920s kind of vibe. It'll be 1920, like a Great Gatsby's kind of thing. It's, and it's fun. It's coming up with that creative flow. And that's again, why I do it. I like the creativity aspect of it,
And you're more in the designing part of it. Do you do operations once they open?
I honestly, I don't like the operational part. I like communicating with the operations, giving my
Creating
input. Like,
ideas.
I love the front of house. I love the creating. I love the vision, everything, and I love the front of house. I love the engagement of seeing the people grow and becoming those actors, of giving the customer an experience.
Yeah.
And and it's weird. It's not like I'm allergic to money, but I like the operation people handling all the money and everything. It's
Yeah. How do you pick people to work with? You mentioned you're very sensitive about people's energy.
Yeah.
And are there like certain traits that you see from people that always work well with you?
Yeah, I just, I'm all about, like, I call it, I don't even call it work. It's adult playing. Like, if I was 14 years old and I knock on your door and I'm like, hey, Johnny, you want to play? And you go, what do you want to play? I'm like, you want to play stickball, handball, ring and run, whatever it is. When did it go from that to like 4 or 5 years later, we call it work. So I call it adult playing. And, I only do things where I actually like the people.
Enjoy.
Yeah, I want to create with people that I consider friends,
Got it.
I'm a big sports guy, so I don't play fantasy sports. I don't gamble because the team aspect. I like people coming together and just creating and winning. I'm a diehard Knicks fan. One day, hopefully in my lifetime, I'll see a championship. But again, it's team. It's not one person that's going to make you win.
Yeah, it's a wonderful chemistry within your team.
Yeah, and you got to know that you're smart enough to know that you need other people around
Well,
you.
at least this year we're getting better.
Yeah, we're definitely getting better.
Yeah. We're talking about nightlife. You see how the evolution of human interactions, more dancing to right now table services. What's the vision in the future? What do you think is coming next?
I'm actually scared of what's coming next. It's
AI and stuff.
it's so, everything's so, you don't have to be there anymore, that I don't know if people are just gonna stay home and be on VR, virtual reality in clubs. And I don't know what's gonna be next. It's
tricky, right?
it's just seeing how things, just like I said, even how technology just changed nightlife to begin with, where you actually had to go to hear music, to go and see different fashion and cultures, to now everything's online, man. Everything's so I don't know. I actually don't know what's going to happen next. And I wish more people, I hope more people just stay present. They want the experience. That's why we keep saying it's immersive. It's experience, where people seem to only want to go out for the experience. So hopefully there's experiences that drag people out and get them out, instead of getting them, people stay home,
That actually makes more sense when you're trying to go back in time to create that kind of experience, when everything's going more digital, right?
Everything's more digital.
Because a lot of people will gonna miss the human interaction. And
it went from people to data. We don't even call people anymore. People are called data.
I know.
It's like we have a database. We don't call, it's not the people. It's not, it got so technical that it's data. I always have this saying too, even when people ask me, I have one line that just says, then to now. Before, the people had to know you. Now you have to know the people.
Okay, can you explain what that means?
Before, everyone you heard about something, it was hot. People heard about it, they had to know you. They wanted to know you. They reach out to you. Like, I would get beeped 1 million times a day. It was crazy. Everyone wanted to go to the venue because they heard about the venue and they did it. Now it's like more people, like, especially I feel for the promoters now. That's why Hearsay is a different model. People are reaching out to us. But, these promoters got to, mass texts, mass DM girls, reach out, everything's it's different. So that's what I mean by, before the people had to know you, now you have to know the people.
I still want to ask about One Oak, because I didn't have the pleasure to go. I wasn't in your city at that time. What are some crazy stories you saw or you heard from that place?
It was just, every day was just, you didn't know who was going to pop in, man. Everyone, you have everyone from like Justin Bieber multiple times who just, come and just jump on the mic. I remember one moment for me that was great. It was really random. Usher and 50 Cent were both there, and they literally performed out of nowhere for literally, was like 45 minutes to an hour.
Really?
Just
do you
totally spontaneous.
They just want to do it?
And that's what like Oak was about. And Oak was special in that way, that we added that.
Oko?
Oak was special, like One Oak. We just call it Oak,
Got it.
was special because just like I was saying earlier, you had to go in the 90s to go to the club. You had to go to the club, and music was broken in then and there. There was internet. One Oak was one of the last venues that you had to literally go there because you didn't know who was going to show up. Music was broken in there, like experiences, you know?
I see.
We did everything from the Met Galas to everything. It's just, you didn't know who was going to show up. Who was.
That's why you always want to go and see.
Yeah, and you ended up there because even when you were out, you could be somewhere else. You could be out of town probably or wherever the hell you're at, and you're going to end up at One Oak because wherever you're at, you're going to be like, what's going on at One Oak? And, you know,
it might be something
you don't want to get FOMO.
Yes.
And, you know,
Yes,
and today's little word, FOMO, you
FOMO,
know?
yeah.
And how do you get FOMO? Because you see something online. But everyone was living FOMO. You had to go out all the time because in the past you went out because you didn't know what you were going to miss. Yeah. So you had to be present for it.
Is it possible to recreate that kind of scenario where people just want to miss out and come to a venue?
That's what I feel proud what we're doing with Hearsay a lot because it's like that, you know. You don't know, and it's such a small venue. Like you could go, like I said, you could go to our tech support shows, you go to different things, and you know, and there's 5,000 tickets, and you're getting that experience. But like you went for Adam Bayer, and you know, Adam Bayer playing for a room that
right in front of you. That's rare because
you could literally touch him, and it's 200-person room. It's, you know, and you don't know who's going to show up. You know, that's why you see some of our marketing that never says address, and we'll write, you know, Adam Bayer. It's all hearsay. Seth Roxler, it's all hearsay, and it's just, you don't know when it's going to be, and people get excited. You know, the emails will come in by thousands and thousands because people don't want to miss it. Right. They go, if we put it up, let's say today, we'll get thousands of emails, people reaching out to be like, is Seth Roxler today? Is who made who today? It's, is Damian Lazarus today? Whoever it is. And they'll email like crazy because they don't want to miss out. Yes. They get that FOMO experience, man. Yes.
And then how does the business part of it work? Like once, I want to go, apparently there's a strict door and...
You got to know who it is. One, you couldn't even get to the door unless you know someone because you won't know where the hell it is. True. So that's step one on it is you have to know someone, and it's all about that. And you have to know someone, and if you want to get a table, we have table service, and otherwise, you have to be on the guest list, and you got to be pre-approved, and then you're still not even giving the address, you're giving whereabouts. And it's kind of, you got to figure it out a little bit, it's a process again,
And, guys apparently need to start a bar tab. It's a business part of it.
Different things, yeah, if it's the right fit, if it's the right thing, and they still have to be on the guest list, I
see. And talking about DJing, back to DJing, you have worked with so many DJs, and what do you think is the most important part of being let's say, a local DJ?
I think the DJ, when you're talking about, especially with house music and any form of house music, the DJ is a new promoter. So it's, again, building relationships while you're making music and while you're DJing, and that's how you get your word out there and everything. So, the DJ is the new promoter.
Yeah, promoting is definitely a big part of DJing.
Promoters definitely, it's a different thing. I don't look at promoters as promoters, like I said. They're more like table hosts,
Right.
So the word promoter is thrown around. Like, to me, you'll laugh at what I'm going to say. The greatest promoter of all time, even though he's under scrutiny with a lot of other stuff, it has nothing to do with his promotions, though, is Vince McMahon was the greatest promoter of all time.
Who is it?
Vince McMahon, WWE. Wrestling. Look at WrestleMania yesterday. Literally, WrestleMania was this weekend. WrestleMania 40. You have people spending $60, online to watch it while he created on demand, like pay-per-view. What is it called? On demand, correct?
Yeah, yes.
He created, look at the word I just said, a demand. Right. It's called on demand because this is demand. He was the greatest promoter of all time. And you look at someone like Dana White, who followed in his footsteps with UFC. It's about creating that demand. And that's the greatest promoter.
Conor McGregor is a good DJ in that scene, right?
It is. It all goes in. In restaurants, it's a chef. So it's all about creating a demand. So the only way you can create a demand is, having relationships. And
relationships. First of all, got to play good music.
Yeah.
Right? And then you got to figure something out to stand out, and so that people want to go to see you instead of other people.
Yep.
And how do you think social media is part of this journey? Because we got to adjust to the trend, right?
You do it. It's creating demand. Everything's about demand, man.
Making contents.
You're creating content. You're literally amplifying it. You're getting people to support you. What do you think? And everyone, big thing with nightlife is everybody wants validation. That's why people go out and everything. They want to see what they wear. Look at you have your phone there. If you go on Instagram right now, someone likes your thing. It's validation, man. Validation. Everything's about validation with it. So so that's what it's about. When you build in demand, you're going off of people wanting to be validated. They want to be part of it.
Yeah, you have a huge social media following. How did that happen? Did you intentionally build it, or just?
Nah, to be honest with you, I'm pretty crappy at social media. I don't know how to even really do reels. I'm pretty not tech savvy. My age definitely shows. It's just relationships. People like yourself and other people that just are have relationships that are supportive of my creativity aspects, and just liking it and sharing it, and other people sharing it and liking it, and it helped develop my thing. So I'm grateful for everyone that they appreciate my.
So you're just being genuine, and then it happened.
Yeah, man. I'm all about. I just want to create, man. Like it's about throwing those experiences. I want to have an imprint in people's life. That's one of the biggest reasons why I do it. Like, I don't care if it's one of my restaurants, a club, if it's someone's 21st birthday, 25th anniversary. I want to have an imprint in their life. I like going on social media and seeing, that someone did their birthday at one of my one of my products.
From a past interview, you talk about you want a person's whole day to be at your venues, different kinds of venues.
Yeah, I like having a purpose in people's lives and everything. So I call it the decentralized casino model, the resort model. So if you go to a casino or a resort, you're there. Everything's there, right? Look around. You have an Italian restaurant, you have a grab and go, you have a bar, let's say you have a beach club, whatever you have. They don't want you to leave the resort. So for me, I use the island of Manhattan as my resort and Brooklyn. But to start your day, it could be going to pizza and then going to sushi, or going to one of my bars, or going to one of my clubs, or going even afterwards, going to one of our Sapphires establishments. Like any of them, I like different ecosystems. I love it.
Oh, how did Sapphire happen?
Sapphire. So I always, like I said, I liked creating things. So Sapphire itself, I was always in adult business as well. Adult, I call it adult playground. So in 2012, one of them, before that it was Scores. I actually was the marketing and creative director of Scores when it opened up on 27th Street, down the block from Marquee. And it was funny, Tao Group did, Jason and Noah did my first night grand opening with me. And my second night was the Provocateur guys, Brian and Mike. And we wanted to make it an experience where people from hospitality, because during that time on 27th Street, it was the nightclub district. You had not just Marquee, you had Home and Guest House, you had Kane, you had Pink Elephant, Crowbar. You just had 10 venues on the block. Everyone went there. The greatest promoter was 27th Street. Wow. So Scores was on the block, and we wanted to make it, funny with that. We started doing some parties, and then later on, a gentleman, managing partner of Sapphires, Michael Wright, who's a dear friend, and my friend I actually knew from Limelight. He used to be a DJ, and we started an event called Sins on Sunday at Sapphire.
It's still going now, right?
Yeah, so it's 12 years later, and it stands for Service Industry Night. Gotcha. So it was all about taking nightlife and hospitality in general and having a night where, you merge it with the adult playground,
Yeah. Why isn't there like a 11 in New York?
It's hard. 11 is more after 5. Even 11, I'll give them credit. They used to come to our Sunday party at Sapphires before it opened a lot. And, I feel like we had a big influence on, creating that hybrid nightlife meets adult club. And, they're doing a great job down there in Miami. And it's different because Miami has longer hours. Right. And in New York, it's harder,
They can do 24/7, right? Are they doing that?
Pretty much, yeah. And, New York, it's the city that sleeps is, taking NyQuil a lot earlier lately. Yeah. Especially after COVID, you have a lot of the 311 callers and, they got, you even see the late night eating isn't the same. There's no after hours anymore. Like after hours, people, there's some couple of underground ones, but it's
not a scene.
It's not what it was. New York is definitely fell asleep now a little bit earlier.
Is it more like the policies, or you think it's post-pandemic syndrome?
Post-pandemic plus policies. It's sad to say, but politics and community boards definitely have a say in the matter of things.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of things that we talk about. Anything that you want to share with the audience?
No, just I want everyone to just keep creating, and I think that's the most important part. You want to give people a reason to come out, and you want people to have an experience. And like I said, that's why I do it. I want to create experience, and I kind of want to be a expediter of dreams. I love seeing it. I could write a whole list of different people that where they are now, and because of the nightlife. Right. And it's pretty fucking amazing, Even guys like, Vin Diesel was, he was a security guard for us at Limelight.
Really?
He was a promoter for us later,
crazy.
A couple of years later at place Remedy and a couple other places. And then he said he was going to go and make movies, And
wow,
at the time, we actually kind of all like, laughed and made it short. I think called it Diner or something. And then look at him now. It's so, you never know, what people are going to be. Charles Palmieri was a security guard as well, and he wrote a little film called Bronx Tale, and Peter Gatien was actually the executive producer for it and helped him make that movie. So Peter Gatien is an expediter of dreams, and he made a lot of people's dreams come true. So that's what I want to do. I want to make people's dreams come true, man.
Wow, that's awesome. Where can people find you?
Find me. I'm easy to find on social media.
No, I hearsay though.
Yeah, it's a little thing. I'll be out. I go. I'm out. I'm not out as much, but I'm always at all the venues. I pass between all my establishments, and I want to keep creating. Between my restaurants, my bars, my experiences, my warehouse parties, my nightclubs. I just want to keep creating, man.
And that's awesome. We're doing to our city.
That's another thing. I want to save New York too. I want people to come back, man. New York, let's save it, man.
It's a pleasure talking with you.
It was great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.